Hey guys, welcome to round 14 NRL Fantasy Buy Hold Sell. I'm joined here with Ryan.
Hey guys, big day this week. Well, big day for us this week. Discussing Mr. Payne Haas. Obviously, probably the talking point of the round, right?
Yeah, yeah, lots to think about with Mr. Haas, and he's the first person that we will be addressing. Let's start off with your opinion, Ryan. Do you think he's a hold or a sell this week?
Yes, I think it really just comes down to how many trades you have left. And I know you've obviously got a few more than me, probably a few more than a lot of people, but I think you've got to like look at your squad and decide how many players are still trade outs down the line. Because all of a sudden, if you trade out Haas, obviously that's two trades to get him back in. Same thing with Cleary. And I still have like six, seven guys that I plan on trading out before round 19. So all of a sudden, that kind of like gets me down to like probably like four trades or three trades for injuries. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at and going, I feel like it's just safer to hold. Yes, obviously you can lose some cash, but everyone sort of has guys that they probably trade out either this week or next week to give them like quite a good cash boost. And so I just think that you kind of just want to hold them and just keep the trades and sort out your team in other ways. But obviously, I know you have a different opinion.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you. I think he probably does lean more to a hold side, but I think it is worth considering the possible value you can get from selling him. I know I'm a big advocate, especially this time of year, that it's not about cash as much anymore. It's about points, and he's definitely someone that can get you points. It's just that his break even is 94 this week. There's a lot of good high value options to pivot to with great buy schedule coverage. I think it probably is a little bit harder to sell based on the fact that there is a lower pool of good cash downs at the moment. But you have to consider if you can trade out Payne Haas for two guns and then Payne Haas goes and maybe gets like a 60 score overall, you'll be winning twofold. You'll get the points. Haas will be losing value. His break even will be high. He'll be missing Origin. He'll be missing Origin again in 18. And then there's always the injury, especially with players like him of just getting injured randomly, getting knocked. Um, Especially as of recent, he had a issue with his hamstring, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was quad, I
Quad.
think.
So yeah, there's I think at the moment I'm leaning to holds, just because he can go crazy this week and he's someone that you want to have in your team at the end of the year, especially after round 18, considering if he's healthy. But I think for a couple people it might be worth considering. All right,
Yeah, I
let's
think
move.
if you have, oh, sorry, I'll just add on like if you have either Couchman or Koloamatangi right now, and you need cash to get one of those two in, I probably would sell. But if you already have one of them, I think it's probably fine to find other ways to sort of get players in. Anyway,
Yeah, that's a good
let's go on to
that's a good point. You definitely want at least one of those two. Um, let's go on to some easier buy hold sells. Speaking of the devil, Mr. Couchman, do you want to advocate for him?
yeah. I mean, I think I'll be buying him next week just to sort of hold trades for now. But obviously, just looks so good, and it's just so scary watching him play every game because he just scores so many points like all the time. And what reckon 64 is fine. Like I'm happy to sort of leave that, even though he could very easily get an 80 as we've seen. But for my squad, it makes more sense to buy next week. But this week is a great option.
Yeah, and he's playing second row again this week, which is a bit
Yeah,
different to what he usually does at prop. But I think you said he switched, didn't he? He did a bit of both last week. So
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's fun.
Herbie Farnworth with a little asterisk. I'll let you touch on why you put the asterisk there, but I'm just going to advocate for him. I think he's probably the center, probably the best natural center in the league. No, definitely the best natural center in the league. You have people like Bo Fermor, Dylan Lucas. Dylan Lucas is definitely someone you want in the team. Um, Fermor, I think, will have origin duty, so he's not a buy at the moment. But Farnworth has great coverage over 15, and particularly with Kotoga letting us down again, it's worth considering
Yeah,
putting him there.
yeah. I mean, the asterisk is just for because we have two other guys here on this list that miss round 18. And so I just think you need to be careful about how many guys you're picking up that obviously play next round, which is great, but then miss 18, and then all of a sudden you've got 12 players out round 18, and got to then sell some sort of gun. So that's the only reason why he's an asterisk. If you don't have like a Katoa or you're not buying Campbell right now, then he's a great buy.
Yeah, speaking of Campbell, I think he's a more important buy, and he is on the list next. Just with the wing fullback and the half dual over this period, both of those positions are sort of, well, I guess mid as well, but both of these positions are strained, and with that duel, it's very powerful. He'll be playing fullback again this week at the moment, which might change, I think, pending AJ Brimson's HIA. But um, arguably the best, safest wing fullback right now, considering Latrell Mitchell will be untouchable due to Origin.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is I probably actually wouldn't buy him if he stays a fullback, just because last week he got to that 61, but that was with that try. So if he goes back to half later on in the week, actually, I'm not sure when they play, but then he's definitely a buy. But if he's staying at fullback, I probably would wait until that gets resolved and he's back in the halves.
Yeah, I think with all three of these guys we've just touched on, they're not must buys this week. Their break evens aren't like super low, so it's not like you'll be missing out on a lot of value if you wait. I think out of the three, Couchman's definitely the safest buy.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Comment of the week. Damo L 1983. This will be comment of the week next week. Damo L
Because
1983.
you're right.
This
Because
is
you're right.
this is comment of the week.
And then Drinky. So obviously someone that I bought 3 weeks ago would have probably lost about 60K, so that's fine. But up against the Storm, I'm pretty sure this week. So that's not the best fixture to buy into. But he just looks so damaging on the ball. I think I said that last week actually, but I was a great buy now. Break even's a lot more manageable. There's obviously it plays every single round now till around 27. So you can't afford Campbell and you need someone. I think he's obviously the second best option.
Yeah, I think the matchup with Storm is sort of putting me off a bit, and also I'm happy to wait a week. But
Yeah,
my wing fullback's in a bit of a predicament at the moment, so I really should be considering a bit more. He's definitely a safe long-term hold. I think there are better wing fullback options at the end of the day. I don't think he makes the top three for me, but for the foreseeable future up to 18, it makes sense. It's very smart, and I think he should be someone in pretty much everyone's team.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Tommy Turbo.
And then yeah, I'm guessing you put him here just as a good sort of cash down option, right?
Yeah, I think it's partially Cope as well because bought him last week in hopes that he would come in this week. But yeah, he is a great cash down option and he will be a great wing fullback a loop. Not that you probably need it with the Roosters on the bye. You probably don't really need to be worrying about loops, but um, yeah, there aren't that many cash downs at the moment, and 403 for him, he technically counts as one in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I mean, obviously, yeah, I bought him as well, so not going to add too much there. But and then our next guy is Katoa, who it's funny, like we bought him like feels like a while ago now. I only actually seen him play once, but he just looks so good. Obviously, last game was in the wet, and he still put up 55. So looking forward to seeing him play this week, and just so damaging, and definitely a case for the second best half. Kind of post Origin as well.
Yeah, I haven't heard many people talk about him, which is kind of surprising. You look back
Yeah,
at his 9, 10, 11. He got 67, 70, 76, and then in the rain last on round 12 he got 55. He'll be playing 15 and through this period where there's a bit of uncertainty with halfbacks in my opinion, particularly with Cleary probably
yeah.
going to miss quite a lot of the next few weeks. He's probably the best halfback option.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a whole thing going on with Galvin and Burton and what happens there, and they do play at 15 and 18, so that is something to consider. But if you want just pure points over the next 3 rounds, 4 rounds, I think for the other round, he's definitely someone you want your team.
Yeah, he plays 14, 15, 16, 17. And then possibly becomes a sell around 18 because then there's a buy in 21 as well. So that'll be something we'll have to worry about
Oh,
later.
true. Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
just for a house. just to sort of like power through a little bit. Hosking, I think he's on people's mind to sell this week. I think we'll just hold another round, see how he goes. You know, I mean, I don't think people probably aren't struggling too much with us this week, but he plays, he can go big, and he's in like a ton of cash to move on. Same sort of thing with Mikey Mark there. You know, I mean, he obviously could sell, but he has scored so well, so many different games, and I think again, plays 15, 18. If you've got tons of cover in those in those positions for those rounds, you can sell. But I just think there's just better options to sell this round.
Yeah. For Purdue, I sold him last week. I didn't have faith that he'd perform, and he went out and did perform. He has pretty good coverage, so he's definitely a hold with that lower break even and I guess proven points in the 5/8 position. I'm secretly hoping that he goes back to getting 20s. Because it hurts. It's happened to me a few times now. And then Tamale, similar boat. He's just got great coverage for 15 and 18. He performed really well last week. I think when you have someone other than Ethan Strange
Mm.
sitting next to you, you actually get the ball past you. So, yeah, he'll I have confidence with him some weeks, and then some weeks I lose it. But I think, yeah, he's a hold currently, and I'll be playing him this week for sure.
Yeah, and then Hubner as well. If you held on last 3 rounds, he's a clear hold now. Covers you in 15 and 18. He's obviously a sell, probably 19, but considering how tricky the miss could be over the next few rounds, he's a clear hold. And Fogarty, obviously, he's just there because he's the highest sold player at the moment, but he's playing this week. I think he's personally a hold through to at least 19,
For sure.
even though he misses next week because I mean, like round 18 halves is pretty dire to be honest. So he's a pretty clear hold for me.
I mean,
And
if
on to ourselves. Oh,
I just
yeah,
want to touch on Fogarty. If Fogarty was injured, say for the next 2, 3 weeks, I'd still be holding him. I think just
yeah,
because it covers
yeah,
18.
for sure.
18 options is very hard right now. So yeah, onto some sells. I'm going to touch on Savala because I'm thinking of selling him this week if that's what I decide to do. Uh, he will be probably losing his position soon. With Walker coming back, and also with the bye this week, it's a bit rough. I've got a couple roosters, but yeah, I think he's probably maxed out at value pretty much. His higher scores generally came when he wasn't playing with Sandon Smith, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's time to move him on. And then Iongi, similar boat. Even though he has a good break even, I think I've just been trying to get rid of him for a while, and they have a bye next week. I think it's time for him to go.
yeah, it's fair. Obviously, Elliot Thompson out for 4 weeks, suspended, so that's why he's a sell. So I'll probably be keeping him next round, just because I can then loop in the half is, especially if Fletcher Shove is playing fullback again, I can loop between him and Savala. I think he probably plays at least one more game and a half before they bring in Walker because just I think they wouldn't want to rush him back. And then Toya as well, obviously he might not make Origin, but I still think though that he's made a ton of cash and just move on now and get someone else in.
I think he was one of the better Queenslanders in Origin, so I'd be surprised if he was dropped.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously Bell Holmes is starting the wing, so that's the clear one that he could go in and if Murray Talangi's back. But no, I agree. He was probably the a top three player on the team. So be a harsh drop.
All right, let's move on to how we performed last week. Having a look at the average score distribution was 787. I think we both fell short behind that, but our trades, I think both of
Yeah,
us are doing better than the average, which is 12 left. Salary cap, we're all pretty much on par, I think at 14 million. The guy last week with the highest score, I think off the top of my head, he got in the 900s and he has sold Payne Haas. So
damn.
I guess that's also been playing on my mind a
Yeah,
little.
right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So my trade review for last week, I brought in Koloamatangi and I brought in Turbo. Uh, Purdue and Toy are out. They both scored pretty well, but I think the pains initially was subsided because Colo went out and did really well, and he's a serious keeper. Like if you don't have him, you
Mm,
should go and buy him right now, pretty much. So it worked out well for me, I think. Had some letdowns with Katonga, had some letdowns with Nawakata Nawase and Dylan Lucas. But otherwise, I did okay. I think Hosking hasn't been performing as highly for us as we would have hoped. Haas as well with the 45. would have been ideal to have sold him last week, but we move on. I've slowly been dropping ranks from 4,000 to around 6,000 now, which is a bit of a concern considering some people's teams are looking really strong. And my trade history is showing that I still have quite a lot of trades, so I'm ready to use them to help myself catch up. My thoughts have been sort of persuaded by you a little bit as to what I'm doing this week. I'm honestly I'm unsure still. I think there's a lot of options I can do. I think thinking about looping as well, like you said, it would be nice probably to have Savala next week. Um, yeah, I don't have any clear plans currently, so it's gonna be one of those last minute ones, which I haven't had many of this year, but it happens, I guess. On to you.
Yeah, well, we're quite similar in a sense, right? I was kind of inspired by your mentioning of Turbo and then ended up jumping on. Obviously, I mean, it worked out fine. So fortunately, I ended up looping the wrong wing fullback, even though I missed out on like 10 points in the end by playing uh, Mikey Mark. So it was all right. But look, it's tough to lose to Male as well. But he was just someone that I couldn't trust playing. And then so obviously, at what point then do you just sort of keep him just like in your emergency? So it is what it is. But like, yeah, as you said, getting the 85 in from Koloamatangi is huge. So obviously, my team scored the same as you. Funnily enough, even though we do have some few different pieces in there, so I don't know how that actually added up. But anyway, obviously, yeah, Katonga, Lucas, Sharp, the real disappointing one. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, that was just like it's just constant weeks now of just sort of decent scores, but not anything great.
I
And
feel you.
so
I feel you.
I've gone up another, yeah, I've got another 178 ranks this week, but it's just a bit frustrating, like I'm not doing anything like badly. Well, I'll see maybe apart from that Takia trading, that's bad. But anyway, apart from that, done pretty well, but just not well enough to really make any sort of bulk rank. So hopefully the next few weeks that changes. We'll have to see. Current plans for this round are nothing. I'll probably follow. I'll probably yeah, the return of the I'm always there. I'll probably follow Payne Haas and just see kind of what's happening with him and any sort of potential injury concerns. But I do want to hold mainly due to next week. I've got like three, maybe four players to trade out. So using trades now kind of feels a bit stupid. But at the same time, though, like again, I am behind in ranks. I need to try and catch up somehow. And so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
It is a tough week,
you're
as you
set up
said.
you're set up better than I am, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like there's no one that I'm scared about playing really. So that's a benefit. But again, obviously, if you sold Haas and bought in two more guns this round, that'd be huge. So yeah,
Lots to think about.
follow Robson's slip in. Yeah, no, it's yeah, a lot of pondering this week, and yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
But do it.
I'm just having a look at your team. Who
Yeah,
you gonna play it safe?
I Captain May. Yeah,
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 can't go
yeah. I
wrong.
mean, obviously there is much like I think I really can do. They can't look. So um, yeah,
All right.
that's
Um,
just so.
I guess everyone will be pondering. Hope you guys take the time to ponder. If you have any trades or anything you're thinking about, chuck it in the comments. We'll get back to you with our thoughts. And good luck. Lots to think about.
Let's guys.